I had been visiting, but I had to figure out a way to do some businesses there.
Yeah.
So now, one of the countries I'm working on business in is the Gambia.
Mm-hmm.
Very undeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of opportunities there. Small country. I think the population is 2.7 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful people. Wonderful people. They're in the Sahel area, which is just south of the Sahara, so it is quite dry.
Yeah.
So, starting a taxi service there last year. The year before.
How in the world did you just decide you're going to go to Africa and start a taxi service?
Well, I didn't. That's not why
That's just not something that's just like on the brainstorm board,
It wasn't. I was going on vacation.
Welcome back to the Shattered Mindset podcast, where we explore the pivotal moments that redefine our thinking and set us on new paths. I'm your host, Melvin Larry, and I am just so excited to be here. Hey, listen, we're always going on a journey here through defining detours and changes and situations and how they affect our lives in many ways. And I'm so excited to be sitting here with my good friend from a long time, Miss Africa Freeman. How you doing?
I'm well, Larry. Very well. Thank you.
Good. So I'm just glad to see you. It's been a while.
It has been.
It's been a good while. But what's interesting about that is that we have just known each other for over 20 years.
Absolutely.
I don't know how that can happen. I'm not even old enough for that.
I know it, right?
Well, Africa, you and I met 20 plus years ago. We were in our first real estate class together.
Yes.
Together. That's where we met. And it's been a long time and a lot of things going on since then. So
true.
Just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, like you said, I'm a real estate agent by trade. These days, I do more coaching and consulting than selling, mostly because I like to get out of town a bit and travel a little bit. So when I'm home, I'll do a few transactions to keep the skills fresh.
Yeah.
Keep up with what's going on in the industry and how it affects realtors. But really, I'm just trying to craft the new stage. What are the next 40, 50 years going to look like?
I like that.
So I'm figuring it out as I go.
I like that. I'm still just trying to decide what you're going to be when you grow up.
Absolutely. 100%.
I call it the Peter Pan syndrome.
Listen.
Never grow up.
Listen.
Never grow
I'm
up.
telling you, I look at some people and I'm like, wow, they've got it all figured out. Meanwhile, I'm
They
like,
think they got it all figured out, like until they get punched in the mouth, like I said.
One good time.
Then they know they don't have it all figured out.
There you go.
So what was it that drew you into real estate in the beginning? And, how did your early experiences in real estate, how did they shape the direction you like?
So, when I moved back to Atlanta, I was in Michigan for college. When I moved back to Atlanta, I still did, I worked in my industry for a little while, but.
What industry was that?
My degree was in engineering,
Okay.
but it didn't suit me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I chose that because I was choosing, your parents want you to be successful.
Yes.
They want you to be a doctor,
Yeah.
a dentist, an engineer. I didn't know what I wanted to be, so I just picked one.
Yeah.
So because I could do it, I did.
What you could.
It
But you
wasn't
knew
the best choice for me, to be honest.
Right.
I had a lot of ideas about things that I wanted to do, but couldn't really make a decision. Long story short, I needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
And
that'll make you do stuff, won't it?
Listen, there was someone posting that they needed a personal assistant. And he owned a mortgage company.
Yeah.
And so I worked for him as his personal assistant for a while. Then I became a loan officer, left him, bounced around quite a bit. Then started my own mortgage company, did that for a while. Didn't really, to be honest, even at that stage, I really didn't understand real estate fully and how it's practiced.
Interesting.
Right. I just understood it from my end
Yeah.
of the transaction and
Yeah.
dealing with realtors. So had a couple issues with some realtors who didn't really understand the process on this side.
Right.
I thought, maybe I'll get my license. I don't know. I'll see.
Yeah.
So it was more when I got my license, it was because I wanted to know more about that side so I could be a better service to my clients on the mortgage side.
Right.
But ended up selling my mortgage company, focusing on real estate full time.
Mm-hmm.
And to be perfectly honest, I'm not even 100% sure that real estate was
The objective
the perfect thing for me
at the time or even throughout?
throughout.
Okay.
But I think it allowed me, because I came from a very humble family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no one had any big pieces of money
Yeah.
that I was going to be getting left. Like I needed to figure things out for myself. You know, none of those, not one.
Yeah.
So, but I just think real estate afforded me at the time the money to explore other things,
I see.
the money to create experiences for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm inquisitive, I'm naturally inquisitive.
Yeah.
And so it allowed me the funds to be able to just, I wonder what that's about.
So it became a means to the things that you wanted to do rather than the end itself.
Period. It allowed me to change my life because I could have been, so where I'm from, even today,
Mm-hmm.
some people don't have electricity. My hometown is Asheville, which recently was just wiped off the map.
North Carolina, Asheville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
who would have thought that you thought that everybody thought they were away from everything there?
Yeah, it's yeah.
I hope your family's okay there.
My cousin, one of my cousins lost her house. It just floated away.
Oh my.
And we're still trying to get in contact with people who are outside of the main area. Most of the resources are going into Asheville proper.
Okay.
There are so many people in and around the area who, they might not be able to get down the mountain.
Now you mentioned Asheville
Mhm.
here. You talked about that, but you also mentioned Michigan. What's the connection?
I went to school in Michigan.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
You went to Michigan for school.
Correct.
Okay.
That's it. Only reason.
Okay. So Asheville was home.
I was born there.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's family is from North Carolina. My mom's family is from South Carolina.
Yeah.
So, and then came here early on to the Atlanta area, well, to Decatur.
Mm-hmm.
But where we're from in the Carolinas, still, like I said today, some don't have running water, some don't have electricity, some don't have indoor plumbing.
Yeah.
So, again, real estate allowed me a lot of flexibility to be able to help some of my younger cousins, to provide some stability to some of the family.
How did you know, with you, as you call the humble beginnings of your life, and being, from Asheville and moving to the Metro Atlanta area and so forth, how did that lead you to the areas of your thought processes? You went to school for engineering and da-da-da-da. What shaped your mindset early in life?
I think there's a lot of pieces to that.
Yeah.
So I was a child who loved my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in elementary school, I don't remember what year, there was a big storm.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, most of my family had moved to the Charlotte area for better opportunities.
Okay.
And my grandmother was a domestic. Mm-hmm. Several of my aunts were domestic. My mom was a teacher and then a travel agent. But my grandmother was amazing. Mm-hmm. When there was a storm and there was no power in Charlotte for 2 or 3 weeks, we knew how to weave baskets and set traps and do all those things. My grandmother could do anything.
Wow.
Anything.
Wow.
Running around in a field and cut most of my foot off with a rusty can. And, she wrapped the pieces
You fixed it.
in pork, right? When my mom was away with my dad, and when they got back, and my mother was so mad. She was like, "Why didn't you take her to the hospital?" My grandmother was like, "I got this," and it healed.
Amazing, because you know what?
Mhm.
When I was a little boy
Mm,
playing outside,
mm,
stuff they don't do anymore,
mm.
I stepped on a rusty nail,
See?
and my mom
Mhm,
cleaned that nail up
mhm.
and wrapped a piece of fat meat around. And I put the
That's
fat
it.
meat on the wound and wrapped it up.
It's salted pork that
That's what I'm talking
pulls
about.
all of the infection and the poison out of the wound.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes,
Ooh,
and they knew that.
they knew that.
I believe in the old arts.
Uh,
I live by the old arts today.
That's what I'm talking about.
Today. Because
That's
again, my grandmother, my great aunties, they could do anything. The women in my family were hunters.
Yeah.
So, learning how to shoot, just learning how to live. Like if things go south, what are you going to do?
Man, listen, we clean fish, we clean
Yeah,
rabbits,
there's squirrels.
squirrels, quail, listen, oh, come
Listen,
on.
my grandmother said, if it's moving, it's fair game.
If it's moving, how about that?
It didn't matter what it was. Turtle, you make turtle soup in the shell. Squirrel brain and eggs, raccoon. If it was moving, you gotta get that gland out.
My mom I didn't understand at the time what vegetable soup was.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was just vegetable soup, but it was anything she could find in there.
Yes.
And put it, listen, we got something to eat.
Yes.
So we're not throwing that away.
Any of it.
It's going in the pot.
And you're gonna eat it.
You're gonna eat it.
And you're gonna like it
You're
too.
gonna eat it. You gonna act like it anyway.
You're gonna like it.
See?
You can eat or not eat. The choice is yours.
That's it. Isn't that something? Wow.
But my generation was the first generation who didn't grow up down in the country.
Yeah.
But we used to go there all the time. That's where we wanted to be.
See?
We used to, my uncles and them would slaughter an animal and hang it up.
Yeah.
And we would take the bladder and make balloons out of it.
Get out of
We
here.
would make water balloons and chase each
I
other.
haven't heard that one before.
Bust each other with the balloons. We'd be out in the watermelon patch. And
Bladder balloon.
listen, we made a game out of everything.
Wow.
Everything was fair game.
We did make a game out of everything.
Right. And then we had to do our chores.
Yes.
Whatever those might be. We might have to clean that fish. We might have to cook it.
Yeah.
My great uncle built me a stool because I was a really small child.
Yeah.
So that I could see the top of the kitchen.
So, when you think about that, we don't often think about how those experiences led to our diverse thinking and our resourcefulness in life and business and so forth. But they have a profound effect on that. And you're really pointing at it. Elaborate more on that.
Well, for me, I knew early on, no one was going to give me anything. I was a shy child.
Yeah.
So I didn't really talk a lot.
Yeah.
Probably still that way. I mean, I'm naturally an introvert, except with people that I know.
I would say that. I would agree with that.
So, I wasn't the one who was going to be spotted and
Yeah.
I don't know. So I had to figure things out for myself. And because I didn't, have a lot of playmates and things like that, because again, I was a shy child. I couldn't do all the Jonin and the dozens and I didn't know how to do any of that.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to spend a lot of time finding a way. Yeah. Right. So for me early on, I was in the library a lot.
Okay.
And then when the internet came along, you couldn't tear me off the internet.
Yeah.
I tell people now in my practice, Google is your friend.
Yeah.
You may get some wrong information, but you'll find a lot of right information.
You will. People are afraid of AI.
Listen, I'm all about it.
See, it's a new adventures, isn't it?
It's making my life easier. I understand the concerns.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the concerns are valid.
Yes.
Everything has its place.
Yeah.
But as long as your mindset, again, it gets back to core values.
Right.
Is your mindset about profit over everything?
Yes.
Or is your mindset about making sure that people can still eat and survive and live and making their lives easier.
And it's inevitable.
Well, it's already here.
It's inevitable. This past week, we drove to Tennessee. I rented a car. And I'm driving down the road and I put it on cruise control. And then I realized that it's hands-free. It's a self-driving car. And I'm like, that was my first experience.
It's already been here. It's just that people didn't realize that it was here.
And it was such a natural thing that the people at the rental car place, you would have thought they would have said, now this is a self-driving car. It's no big deal. See, because it's a part of it. So you went into real estate, and then tell me how you have seen the industry change from when we went into real estate 20 years ago.
Listen, you're about to get me on my soapbox.
Get out, man.
So for folks who have gotten their license during COVID, right before COVID, whatever the situation may be, they have so many resources. Whereas when we were coming up, it was, here's the contract. Write it, in duplicate.
That's right.
Fax it over 372 times. It's almost illegible.
That's right.
You had to figure things out.
You did.
Right? There was none of this. What I see now in my practice, it's kind of like, oh, is there an app for that? How do you do so-and-so? Well, did you Google it?
That's the mindset too.
No. Well, I mean, I just don't understand where there's not an app.
Yeah.
What?
See?
Well, what about, have you read the contract? No, I just fill in the blanks. What? So we don't even know. It's very, very different. But I think a lot of times, I don't just blame that on the folks who are getting in the business. Also, the industry as a whole, some of the brokerages, right? Yes, when you get out of real estate school, you really don't know anything about the practice of real estate. So you take this required continuing education course, but still there's a disconnect. So real estate companies, I find, put a lot of time and effort into teaching you how to be a successful agent for them. Right? Because it's a business.
It is.
Right? It is. That's what they have to do.
It's their business, and as an agent, it's really your business too.
It is, but sometimes those goals are not the same.
It's true.
Sometimes, my strong belief, and I tell the folks who come to me for coaching services, that you need to put just as much time into developing your portfolio as you do into helping your clients. Why? Because there's something you want to do with your life. And it's going to take time, and it's going to take resources. And real estate can be the springboard for that. But if all you do is, become a great agent, but don't really think about what might happen after that, or what life looks like outside of that. And I was definitely guilty of that. I spent all my time in the office. I worked around the clock, right? Because I knew the money was going to come. But there was a point when I just didn't want to anymore. So what then?
What do the clients today expect, or what do we see from the client perspective today that we really didn't see then?
Well, clients, agents, the public, everyone, I think, lives their life in snippets. So a lot of times people have a short attention span. Right? And they're accustomed to reality TV. So they're accustomed to the lights and the flash and the outfits and the photo shoots and the things, right? So sometimes the folks who are the most fabulous from a reality TV perspective are more successful in the business than those who actually have skill and proficiency in the field. And that can be daunting to people like you and I, who are serious about our craft. Right? Because we are not necessarily the ones who get rewarded for being good at what we do.
They get rewarded for the flash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they don't have to worry about customer retention because they're like, I can just get another one.
Yeah.
Or I can pay this service to deliver these leads to me. I don't have to know how to get leads. I don't know how to prospect. I don't have to know. I'm just saying, you want to buy a house?
Yeah.
You want to buy a house? You want to buy some property?
You want to buy it from me.
That's all they ask. No important questions. Why is this house important to you?
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have kids?
Yeah.
Do you have, extended family who may be living with you? What are your goals in the next few years? They don't ask any of those questions.
Yeah.
So the public, in turn, also has that same, not all of the public, but a lot of the public approaches life in that way. Because again, they're so inundated with commercials and snippets of this and snippets of that. So that affects how they choose the people that they work with.
Yeah.
Right?
I can remember going out, and I would always go out to people, and I would always, if I'm working with a buyer specifically, I would always say, we're not looking for a house, we're looking for your home. And so when you go in, when you walk around, if it doesn't look like your home, that's not the one.
We're looking for the corporate offices of your life.
See, that's it. That's it.
How are we going to do this?
That's it.
Right?
So you've done some things in all different areas of real estate.
Absolutely.
With commercial and residential.
Yes.
And all of the things that you've done. What really touched you?
Oh, that's a good one. When I started getting designations, one of the designations that I got was a certified international property specialist. Part of that overlaps with one of the commercial designations, CCIM. And I wasn't able to get in any courses here. So I took all my coursework in Puerto Rico. And I met a woman there, the instructor, whose offices were in Beverly Hills. And she said, listen, I don't have a website. I don't use cards. I'm thinking about disconnecting the phone services at our offices. And that was my response. Like, what do you mean? Why would you do that? And she said, I have enough clients and I have enough money. So for me, that was still kind of an odd thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, how do you have enough clients?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I never need another client a day in my life. And she said, yeah, no, I don't. And I said, well, how is that? And she said, well, years and years and years ago, when Baja California, that little skinny piece that hangs off the side of California, when Baja California was being developed, I was responsible for negotiating the land leases and sales for the majority of Baja California.
Goodness.
So in my head, I was like, that's not even really possible. Like, what is she saying? Like, California is a state, like, it just, nothing was computing in what she said. It didn't sound, it just was weird.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, Baja California has been here forever. People have been living there. You can't just, what are you saying?
Yeah.
And I did a little research, and it was hard to do because she's made it a point to not be easily found. Either you know her or you don't.
Okay.
And in order to know her, you have to afford to be able to know her.
Wow.
Which, again, was a concept that I was new to.
Yeah.
That there are things and people and places that happened that the rest of us will never know exist.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the price to pay for entry into that world. Essentially, it was this. All of the hotels there, she's touched in one way or another. For the land leases, for the franchise agreements, my head was like I was ill.
Yeah, like me right now, because I'm like about to pop, because I'm just kind of trying to conceptualize it.
I was like physically ill.
Yeah.
Because it made me realize that a lot of what I thought about what I was doing had some truth to it.
Yeah.
But there was a whole nother part that I had no knowledge about.
Mm.
There was a whole nother thing. Like, why is it that this person was able to get approved, but this one doesn't? But they kind of look like they're the same
Yeah.
financially,
Yeah.
right? What is it that makes the difference?
Mm.
So I look at things with new eyes now.
Yeah.
So for me, I like to tinker and solve problems and figure things out,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just fundamentally changed my approach to a no.
Yeah. Wow.
Because for me, a no, in most cases, with respect to business, not with respect to people or their personal boundaries, but with respect to business,
Mm-hmm.
a no is not a no.
Yeah.
A no might be right now.
Not now.
It might be a not with you.
Yeah.
It might be I don't know, I'm confused. But a no is never a no.
It's not.
A no for who?
Yeah.
You telling me no?
Yeah.
What do you mean? No to what?
It's not the end.
It's never the end.
Yeah.
It's never the end. And sometimes it's just a matter of finding the solution that's on the other side of the response.
So what that did was it expanded your thinking,
Absolutely.
not just your thinking. It
It expanded
you.
my world,
Yeah.
my view about the world.
Was that in any way a catalyst to you moving outside of real estate to other
Yes.
things?
Yes.
How so?
Well, when I came back from Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
armed with all of these new tools and ways to do things and implement them in my business, I realized that I was really just treading water. That what I was doing, it was helpful to some people, but at the end of the day, it wasn't helpful to me in ways that it could have been. And it wasn't helpful to folks like my family.
How was that?
So coming from where I come from, average income in the town where my mother's family is about $8,000 a year. So what are they ever going to be able to buy? My grandfather was cheated out of 2,000 acres of land by a small, administrative change in the spelling of his name because he wasn't literate.
Yeah.
Right. So now all of the future generations were affected by that and would continue to be affected by that without some sort of knowledge and intervention outside of you need 3% at the time, now 3.5%. You need 3.5% or 5% down to buy a home.
Yeah.
They would never be able to come up with that. Right. It opened my eyes to the fact that, hey, there are probably 2 or 3 or 4 different things that I can do to get them in a home without needing any money. Not just them, but the whole community. And make it attractive, package it so that it's attractive to a bank. Why would a bank want to get involved with some people who don't have any money? It's not because they love helping people. Right? So I wanted to find new, non-traditional ways to approach, cooperative ownership, individual ownership, finding a stable base for underserved communities that still have a lot to contribute. And by virtue of just being human, serving a group of people who have the right to live life unencumbered with the worry about where am I going to live and what am I going to eat.
So where did that renewed, refreshed desire, thought process, where did it take you?
So I started working on some projects here with the best of intentions and feeling like I could take over the world and everything would be great. Housing projects.
Okay.
And realized quickly that there was another layer to the puzzle that I didn't understand. And there were 8,000 ways to get tricked out of a project if you didn't have the knowledge.
Okay. By bigger
players and players who were more connected and had money and resources and power in different places that I didn't.
Yeah.
Realizing that those things did in fact matter.
Yeah.
Even though I thought at that time that my knowledge was enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I quickly realized that there are places on this planet where your knowledge is welcome.
Yeah.
And can be impactful.
Without taking you off of that thought process, I want to kind of circle back around to the people who you were thinking about and talking about from back home and all of that. Were they ready for you to do something like that? Because people are not always ready to grab the lifeline.
Absolutely. Some were and some won't. Some were like, they were ready, but they weren't ready for me.
Okay. All right.
Because again, we are conditioned a lot of times by our experiences.
Yeah.
So someone like me, you know, being in a room and doing these things with people who aren't like me.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people are distrustful of that.
It's like, hard to go back because like it said that you are dishonored from in your own country, you know, even if you're trying to go back and help, you know, and then sometimes the mindset is such that they say they want to do better, but it's kind of like a person who maybe has an opportunity to get out of prison, but, you know, found comfort there.
You know, I had to learn hard lessons there that doing better is relative. They have a right to do better how they want to do better.
On their terms.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I can expose you to X, Y, and Z, but it might not work for you.
What's significant is that people didn't always have the right to, even on their terms, even if it was just a little better.
Point.
You know.
Right.
So.
But it's a hard thing because I had to learn that I can't want it more for folks than they want it for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. But I get how folks get there.
What kind of challenges did those things present to you, or in general, moving from where you were to that Puerto Rico experience and to move differently? What were the challenges that, I mean, we talked a little bit about the bigger players, but what are the things that I see you got a look on your face?
You know, on a purely personal level, a lot of the challenges came from my family. Right. So I had cousins who were my age and maybe a little older who had lots of kids.
Yeah.
But my cousins were choosing other paths in life.
Okay.
And were not available to raise their children.
Okay.
So I took a lot of their children on at a younger age. And didn't have children because I was stuck with 5 or 6 of my cousins' kids, right? And I don't want to say stuck with, that's not the right thing to say, but I willingly took on a situation and didn't really fully understand what I was taking on.
Yeah.
So some of the challenges that I had, for example, in that regard was, listen, I can get this kid a scholarship to do this, that, and the other thing. I can get them after school help and blah, 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 blah. But I need to be able to have full parental rights, or at least joint parental rights in some cases.
Yeah.
That was something that my cousins were unwilling to do, even though they were away.
Okay.
Right. So I can't put your child in school, right? I need to be able to have some sort of custody, even if it's temporary custody. I need to be able to do this. And my cousins were not willing to do that, which was hard because it profoundly affected some of their children.
Yeah. And
I think I spent a lot of time once some of those kids got older, trying to make up for the fact that I couldn't think my way out of how to make it better because they were in deplorable situations.
So how did you balance dealing with that family situation, your ambitions, your objectives, your newly found thought process or expanded thought process? How did you balance that across real estate and the other industries? That's a lot of stuff. How did you balance that? Well,
I mean, I knew that I had to have more than one thing going on.
Yeah.
1, because of my personality type, and 2, because I by that time had experienced failure, and not small failures, but epic failures.
Really?
Absolutely. And so, you know, I knew that I had to have multiple things happening.
Are you willing to share any of that, Mary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was working on a subdivision project in an underserved community here in Atlanta with some developers who were from California. And I did it myself.
Okay.
I wasn't working in conjunction with the brokerage, right? It was something I found myself. I managed myself. I did the marketing. I did everything, the staff hiring, so on and so forth. I did everything, everything that had to be done. From liaising with folks in city offices for permits and tax credits and all kinds of things. And then I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Brought people on who could help with the project. And then I, realized that there were backdoor deals happening. Right. And what I realized too late was at the moment that I found out that these things were happening, and I said, I'm not going to participate in that. I have a license to lose. Right. And the moment that I said that I was not going to participate, that I was doomed. Right. That they would find a way to detach me from that project.
How did you overcome that obstacle? That's a major.
It took a while because I took a huge financial hit, filed a bankruptcy. Like I was in a depression. I feel like I was a walking zombie for 2 or 3 years. It was a mess. Went through a divorce during the same period of time. And started going to therapy.
That's actually wise.
Absolutely. One of the best things that I could have done. Realized, went all the way back to childhood and some of the things that affected the way that I made choices and decisions. Tried to shore up some of my own vulnerabilities, set boundaries, right, in business and in my personal life.
So how did, all of the things that you were doing and dealing with there, and this may be a shift, but how did that take you to the international? I understand that you dealt with the person in international real estate. I was dabbling in a little bit of that myself. There's a lot of people from Bermuda, but you've done some other things in business that are not necessarily real estate. I mean, we've talked about some things way back in the past. And you inspired me in a lot of areas. And so tell me about some of the other business, both domestic and international, that you found yourself in.
So I knew that I wanted to travel. Right. I've always had the travel bug. I always want to do something, go somewhere, see something new. And I've traveled from when I was a little girl, winning opportunities and things like that, and then subsequently paying with my own money. So I knew I wanted to go other places, but I was always irritated by the fact that people would always say, hey, we're going to Europe. We're going to Europe. I'm like, there's some other places to go. Okay, we're going to Asia. Okay, great. Where else? Going to the Caribbean. Okay, there's a huge continent, folks. With the majority of the world's resources.
That hasn't been mentioned yet.
And it's completely left when you go to travel sites, it's completely left off. It's absolutely ludicrous. It's insane.
And even that continent,
Africa.
I know.
Right? So I knew I wanted to go there. I knew I had been visiting, but I had to figure out a way to do some businesses there. So now, one of the countries I'm working on business in is the Gambia. Very undeveloped. There's a lot of opportunities there. Small country. I think the population is 2.7 million people. Wonderful people. They're in the Sahel area, which is just south of the Sahara. So it is quite dry. So starting a taxi service there last year. The year before.
How in the world did you just decide you're going to go to Africa and start a taxi service?
Well, I didn't. That's not why.
That's just not something that's just like on the brainstorm board,
It wasn't. I was going on vacation. So I have a girlfriend who has a restaurant here, an African restaurant. She's from Senegal, but she has a home in the Gambia. And she had asked me to come 1,000 times, and I was doing other things. I was supposed to go to Ghana, Benin, and Togo. Had to renew my passport, which I did, but then Ghana, in order to get the visa, wanted me to send them my passport. I'm not sending my passport to anyone.
Yeah.
To anyone.
Yeah.
I need to be able to walk in, you do what you do. I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
A mess. So had to cancel plans and needed a place to go quickly. Called my girlfriend and said, hey, look, can I come over? She's like, yeah, girl, come. I'm like, okay, I got about 2 months. She's like, no problem. So when I got there, we caught up. She hooked me up with one of her cousins who lived in a city has 70% of the population, and the average income, is about what, $70 a month.
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
And to be honest, the majority of the people live well below that.
Yeah.
So her cousin would take me around and look at things, and we had to catch these taxis. These taxis were 1992 Mercedes from Germany.
Oh.
And then when you get in the taxi driver stops 37 times to pick other people up. So you're next to them, they're sitting in your lap, it's all this going on. It was interesting for me, but I realized that transportation is a huge thing. And so I bought one of those old Mercedes on my credit cards. It was like, and that's me. I get up, I'm like, let's test it out. What is it going to cost me? $3,000 or $4,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll skip some fancy dinners and some whatever.
Yeah.
I put it on my credit card or cash advance, not even on my credit card. I had to get cash advances because they're a cash culture.
Right.
Put it into service. And then that paid for what I would have spent in taxi services while I was there.
Was it difficult putting it into service, being that you were not an African national that was trying to do something in that culture?
No. You got to find someone you can trust.
Yeah, because I mean, like even here, people like,
you
can't bring that Uber in here. We got taxi drivers here and all that.
But I had some ideas.
Yeah.
I put trackers on the car and that nobody knew about.
Yeah. Okay.
So I made sure I was safe, and it's been doing well. So I bought that car in July of this year.
Okay.
So I'm going to buy a van in December.
Okay.
But I won't be there in December. I'll be in South Africa. So years prior to the Gambia trip, I have friends in South Africa that I've had for 20 years.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to go to South Africa all the time. It's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
Beautiful country. One of the most developed countries on the continent.
Yeah.
Great place to start if you've never been to Africa. Great for banking if you want to get into business. Inexpensive to live. Great food.
Okay.
So I thought, why not start a tour company?
Okay.
I knew the person who was the head of all of their national parks and things like that in South Africa. He was married to a good girlfriend of mine.
Yeah.
At one point. And so I had been to a lot of those places. And I said, listen, I can provide a perspective that other people don't have. Not just to get in the bus and peer out the window at people.
Yeah.
But an immersive experience, right? But I wanted to cater to people who wanted to be either in farming and agriculture or in other businesses. Because most people in Africa, no matter what country you go to, have land. That's been passed down generation to generation to generation. What they may not have is money. We're just the opposite.
Yeah.
We can work, we can save a little money, but we may not have land.
We don't have any.
Right? And sometimes the barrier to entry to getting that land here can just be cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
The majority of people make enough money to survive.
Yeah.
And that's it. Not to save and be able to buy land. Whereas I can go there, buy a piece of land. I bought a piece of land a month ago. Not big, it's small.
What's small?
It's small, a couple acres. Not big.
Okay. For a lot less than you would have gotten it here.
I think I spent $1,300.
For 2 acres?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walking distance to the ocean.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, Gambia, you can't even get a direct flight to Gambia.
Wow. So that's amazing. Because I mean, you've been doing a lot of things. Here we talked about laundromats and you first birthday.
Yeah.
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 You know, you,
I got out of the laundromat business, but I'm getting back into it.
we gonna have to
So,
talk.
yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Get
talk.
cash businesses,
Yeah,
businesses that boring businesses,
right. That's good. That's good.
boring businesses, and they are boring. A boring business.
Boring business is good.
And now that we're having this wealth shift,
Yeah.
because the boomers are retiring, they're done with this.
Yeah.
And a lot of their kids don't want to take these businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So people who would be our kids,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
are starting to kind of figure it out. Those who don't want to do the social media thing,
Exactly.
right,
Exactly.
are starting to take over these business. And there is those laundromats, I'm telling you, those laundromats changed my life. That was another big shift for me.
So in looking at all of that,
Mhm.
when you think about all of the things that you've done and you think about aspiring entrepreneurs and so forth,
Mhm.
what kind of advice would you give them? 'Cause, I mean, you've just gone the gamut of a lot of stuff.
Wow. There's so much. Like, don't be afraid of failure.
Yeah.
In fact, you should expect failure. The brokerage where you and I first started, the owner of that company told me, "You're not even a serious business person until you've been sued the first time."
Mm. I've said that to other people too.
What?
Right. Right. Right.
100%
Badge of honor,
true.
you know?
You have to fail.
Yeah, you have to. It's essential.
It is
It is essential.
necessary,
It is essential.
right?
It
Because
is.
you got to learn how to bob and weave.
It is the
pick up the pieces.
foundation of the stories of success. The foundation.
If you show me someone who's successful in their career and they've not had a failure yet, listen, like my grandmother, keep living,
They're gonna get it.
keep living.
Once they spin up all that was given to them because they hadn't failed, and when they got there, they not listen.
And then talk to me.
They're not successful. They're entitled. You know.
Listen.
So
one, don't be afraid to fail.
yeah.
You can lose everything and come from the ashes and start over. Right? Everything.
That's good. That's a good.
Even a place to live.
That's good.
Listen, I have a plan right now that if I lost everything I own, what would be my first steps? I have that plan and I go through that plan in my head.
So that's another key to it. Number one, not be afraid of failure. The other is to have a plan.
Have a plan.
Yeah.
Plan something. Right? You might not be able to string all the pieces together, or you might know the Z, but not know the elemental P.
Yeah.
You might know the A, the ST.
Yeah.
You might be, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Plan something because you're going to need it. Know good people. People are your resources. And it can be hard. But when you find good people, you might not know how you can serve them. You might not know where they can fit into your puzzle. But good people are worth everything.
So relationships have meant a lot to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not about them getting into what I'm into.
Right.
Most of the time, it's just having a friendly voice.
Yeah.
You bog down. You're in the midst of the fight.
Yeah.
You're trying to claw your way out of the muck and mire. And somebody just calls and says, "Hey, how are you?" "I'm fine." And they just talk. Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah. Sometimes that's enough. You don't need people to fix things all the time.
No.
Sometimes you just want to hear a voice, right?
I just need a friendly voice.
Friendly voice.
I just need, somebody to be kind.
Yeah. So how does mentorship and leaving a legacy play into your whole scheme of things?
Mentorship is hugely important. A lot of the mistakes that I made, I didn't have to make.
Yeah.
Had I had a mentor or had I had support.
I can relate to that.
Right? I would be in a different place if I had support.
Yeah.
Right? But that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I learned a lot.
A lot of people thought I had it going on because I looked like it, I acted like it, but I was just like that I call it the swan syndrome. The swan is so smooth on the lake, just cool and calm, but he's paddling like heck underneath.
Listen,
And nobody knows.
we were the good, better, best generation.
You know?
Good, better, best, never let it rest.
There
So
you
your
go.
good is better than your best, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. No matter what, I'm getting up and going to work every day.
Yeah.
The house can be burning down.
Right.
The rubber soles on my shoes could be on fire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how we were raised.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So mentorship is huge. It's huge for you.
Mentorship is huge. I tell folks who come into my practice, what you're paying me for is to give you some of the shortcuts so you can skip the mistakes that you and I had to make.
Yeah.
Right? Let me show you how to, because you're still gonna make mistakes. There's plenty of mistakes to be made.
I told my son that. I said, if you avoided every mistake I ever made in life, you'd still make a lot.
There's a whole lifetime of mistakes for you still to make.
It's just your mistakes.
However,
as
a mentor, as a coach, let me show you how to do these things so you can get in the game. Sometimes we think we're in the game. That was my realization. I thought I was in a game. I wasn't in. I thought I was doing things. Right? My ideas about what a lot was. A lot of this or a lot of that. Yeah. Business. Completely changed. Let me just show you how to get in the game so we can cover the bases. Let me show you how to get it. No house note, no car note. Let's get that out of the way.
Right.
It's not conventional wisdom.
Right.
But for a lot of us, it makes sense to always have a place to be. Yeah. If you're coming out of a situation where you know people who don't have a place to be,
right,
and you know how close that is,
that means so
you
much.
Want some security.
That means so much.
So let me show you how to have a place that you can call your own. So no matter what failures you have, you always have a place to be.
You got somewhere to go back to.
You got a car, right? And some food.
Right. Right. You can stop and go from there.
After that, make all the mistakes.
Right. So how do you weave that into your ideas for the legacy that you want to leave?
So my family, a lot of my family are doing better. But we still have folks that we need to help.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important to me to be able to leave something for them. And I'm not talking about this kind of entitled, somebody left me this and it's squandered and it's gone. Oh, no. It comes with caveats.
Yeah.
Because I've already been through that once. You get it's gone in like 5 seconds. You're like, wait, what just happened? I gave you a whole house.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't own this house no more? What happened? Been there, done that. But be able to give them something, mm-hmm. right? So they've got a little bit of education on a particular subject, right? And so that they can help the rest of our cousins. So I help my 5 or 6 cousins, and I'm done. Yeah. Now you got to help the next ones. So forward. Here's your credit is in order. We've set up your business, yeah. Right? We showed you how to get some money to fund the businesses that you want to get in. We've paid for the education so that you can fund those businesses. So I want to do that here and am doing that here and in Africa with my chosen families there.
So what final thoughts or takeaways would you like to leave for this audience of folks here?
Well, one, thank you for inviting me. Right? It's a great conversation. I feel like this is a conversation that we've had over 20 years.
Yeah.
That unfolds, like the layers of the onion fold back.
I agree.
Every time we talk.
I agree.
And sometimes, at least for me, I come away remembering why I'm doing some of these things. Sometimes it gets me back on track. When you sent me that message the other day, like I needed that message. Right?
So I was that call then.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah. Every time I talk to you, in 20 years.
Yeah.
every time I talk to you, you can change a mood. That's a thing, right? That is absolutely a thing. So I choose and curate what I expose myself to in digital platforms now, right? So for me, knowing that you're doing this is a thing, right? Because I know what you do, what you've done, how you walk in the world. And even if I'm not talking to you, doing something like this is a safe space for me, right?
I see.
And my guess is it would be for other people as well. To just listen to a different perspective, listen to the folks that you're putting in front of them, right? And to know between the two of us, all the failures that we've had, we're still here.
We're still standing.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're still living, right? And like our grandmother said, just keep living. And we do.
Yeah. We do.
Right? And we drop little diamonds and little tidbits here and there where we can to affect those that we love.
And we still know that there's a whole lot more out there for us.
Absolutely.
A whole lot more out there for us. So it's been a joy for me as well, because you've been my friend for a long time, and you're that friend that we don't talk every day, every week, or every month. But when we talk, it's never where you've been or anything like that.
Pick it back up.
It's just pick it back up, And I appreciate you for that. And you have always inspired me, because from the very beginning when we met, you were always moving forward. You were always moving forward, but you never lost the common touch. You never lost that. And you reached levels of success that many people would dream of, but you just never wore it on your shoulders, your backside, that people would never know it, And so I appreciate that. Where can people reach you to learn more or to connect if you want them to, or I don't know, or you might be like Miss Puerto Rico,
I'm getting there. I took my website down last year. I'm gonna have to put it back up.
But if you don't, you don't, that's
I needed a break. But in general, email is the best way to reach me.
Okay.
Because no matter where I am, I'll probably be able to get your email. Not always a phone call.
Okay.
And I took that website down for a reason. But
I get that.
My email is my name, africafreeman@gmail. It's the best email.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming.
Thanks, Melvin Larry.
You always call me that.
Yeah, I have to.
I appreciate it very much. So, hey, listen, I'm just excited to have had an opportunity to spend time here with my good friend, Africa Freeman. And until the next time, I just want you to just take the notes that you got from that and the things that she shared, and keep adapting, and keep reaching for those higher things, and keep knowing that the opportunities that are out there are just waiting for you to seize them, and keep reaching for the higher heights in life. Take care, take charge. God bless.